May I come in, sir?
Please come in.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
sir. Good evening, sir.
Please sit down.
Thank you, sir.
Before I forget, maybe at the end I may forget, you don't have to greet all four of us individually.
Okay.
Suppose it was a larger board of 7. So, if there is a lady, wish the lady first and the chair.
Okay.
The issue and the rest is taken care of. Okay?
Okay, sir.
I've been forgetting their cases also. Dr. Anshu Priya, when did you do your MBBS?
Sir, 2017 was my final year, as mentioned in the draft, and 2019 I got my internship completion degree.
Okay, and now you are a full-fledged doctor.
Yes, sir.
Where?
Sir, I worked in AIMS Patna as a junior resident after my MBBS. And sir, during the third wave of COVID-19, I worked as a COVID-19 resource person with Bihar Disaster Management Authority.
All right, okay. And you mentioned writing and enacting skits on social issues.
Sir.
So are you still doing it, or you did it in student days?
Sir, I am still doing it.
Still doing it. What is the last one you did?
Sir, I wrote about the impact of social media on children.
Social media on children.
Yes, sir.
That's interesting. Will you tell us 2-3 points?
Sir, it was the story of a girl named Sonia. And so I just made sure that how the girl was getting away from her family and also from her studies, and she was getting engrossed in this entire paradigm of Facebook, WhatsApp and other social media platforms, sir. So then as the skit progressed, there was also this inclination of showing how her performance deteriorated, and sir, she also got into a very bad company because of that, and she had mental health issues. And sir, at the end of the skit, the plan was basically to allow the parents to counsel the girl so that she can understand the repercussions of whatever she was doing. So sir, it was...
So how long was the skit?
Sir, it was approximately 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Yes.
And how many actors?
Sir, there were 6 actors.
6 actors.
Yes, sir. So it was on the occasion of Holi, sir.
Holi.
Yes.
So how many performances did you give?
Sir, I did not enact in it.
But you wrote it only.
Sir, I wrote
so
it.
How many performances were given?
Sir, there were 4 scenes in total.
4?
Yes, sir. 4.
For what?
4 scenes, sir.
No, I'm not talking scenes. How many times did you enact it?
Sir, only once. This
only
skit
once.
once.
Well, it's such an important theme. It should be done before many audiences.
Yes,
I think you should still take it forward.
Sir, I'll do that, of course.
Yeah, it's a very good thing.
Your optional was medicine.
Sir.
Can I ask you one thing? You've been in AIMS Patna, and surely you have visited AIMS Delhi. You have.
Sir, yes, sir.
How much do you think is the difference? I mean, of course, you can't compare apples and oranges. In this case, it's not apples and oranges. It is apples of different vintage. So, AIMS has had so much time to grow, and reputation and resources and money. But the whole logic was that each state should have an AIMS of its own. My problem is that the moment you say each state should have, for political reason, an AIMS of its own, an IMF of its own, an IT of its own, a central university or more than one of its own, what tends to happen that the brand equity of an institution of great excellence, no offense meant to you, deteriorates. So if you are an alumnus, to be correct grammatically, of the AIMS Delhi, we know that you are one among the 35-40 students taken from all over the country. Now obviously you still have to qualify NEET, you still have to qualify very high, but could you tell me what is the ratio of people from Bihar in the AIMS Patna and the All India catchment of doctors?
Sir, people from Bihar, sir, in my own batch, I could give the statistics. Sir, out of 100 students, 30 were from Bihar, sir.
And there were 100 students to begin with?
Yes, sir, there were 100
All right.
students.
And of the 30, how many were from adjacent states like UP, and how many were really there from states where there is no AIMS as yet, or how many were there from, shall we say, Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu?
Sir, I would be glad to inform that in my batch, we had at least 20 students from South India, sir. It was a very vibrant batch in that case. So, although 50% of the students were from the adjacent states of Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, but we did have a cultural amalgamation and regional balance in AIMS Patna, sir.
And how was the faculty?
So, the faculty was good. It was cordial and cooperative.
No, good, cordial, I take it for granted.
Sir.
I'm only asking you for the representation from all over India, or They were people who were taught in medical colleges. See, Patna has a very old history of one of the oldest medical colleges which awarded an MB before an MBBS was given. And people took a degree there rather than go to Calcutta, which was, So I was only asking you how many of the faculty again were sons and daughters of soil, and how many of them were from other medical colleges in Bihar who had migrated to AMS, and how many from Delhi?
Sir, I may not be able to tell the exact figures, but sir, I think it was 50-50 ratio. 50% from, as you said sir, son of the soil from Bihar itself, and sir 50% were from the adjacent states sir. Sir, though we did not have a faculty member, in my opinion at that point of time from South India, but sir, we did have many teachers from other parts of country like Maharashtra.
And how many beds in the hospital which was attached to this? 200 is the minimum you have to have for a medical college, but the larger the better. And how many specialities did you have super specialties did you have in this AMS?
Sir, when I joined, we had close to 350 beds, sir, because mine was the second batch of AIMS Patna, sir. But right now, sir, it is close to 800 beds, sir. Sir, at that point of time, super speciality had not opened when I joined AIMS. But sir, recently, I think they have opened super speciality in more than 8 departments.
What are the 8 departments? Could you share with us?
Yes, sir, of course, sir. Cardiology, sir, then nephrology, sir, then neurology, sir, then urology, sir, then hematology, and so they have opened in pediatric oncology, so then medical oncology.
Excellent.
And sir, pediatric surgery also has been going quite well.
That's quite impressive. I think the Patna AMS has done much better than most other AMSs, I think. Have you been preparing for the general studies, and what sources have been using for international affairs, for Indian polity, Indian economy and so on?
Sir, my basic source has been newspaper. And sir, apart from that, I have also referred my basic books, sir. For example, sir, for international relations, sir, my sources have been the op-ed and the editorial pages of newspaper.
Fair enough, but what about the Indian politics or Indian economy?
So for Indian polity, I refer to Lakshmikant. And so for Indian economy, sir, I refer to a book by Ramesh Singh, sir, if I may recall the name correctly, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Anshu Priya. It reads here that you are from Munger. Why have you written the older spelling of Munger of course, in bracket?
Sir, this was the default option coming in the UPSC menu itself. When you write Munger, sir, there is in the bracket Mongeria that is mentioned.
But it's not used anymore.
Yes, sir, it's not.
That's not. I know that it's not used anymore, and still it was default option was there. Then you might have used it. That could be the reason anyway. As you again, you are from Munger, and Munger, it is steeped in history, from the ancient to the modern, and just before the battle of, for example, the Buxar, just a year back, you know that the things that happened. Can you tell some major events that relates to Munger in a very, very short time?
Yes, sir. Sir, the origin of Munger could be traced to the later Rig Vedic period, when it was part of the Anga Mahajanpada with Champa as its capital. So its reference is also found in Mahabharata by the name
Anga
of
or Ang?
Sir, in our local parlance we refer it to Anga.
Ang.
Sir, it is Ang, to be very precise, but sir, locally
लोकल डायलेक्ट में उनका कहना है कि अंगा कहते हैं.
एक्चुअली लोकल डायलेक्ट में ही अंग कहते हैं. अंग्रेजी में
अंग्रेजी
में अंगा हो जाता
और
है.
वही मगधा हो जाता है.
मगधा जैसे हो जाता है,
Yes,
बट
sir,
मगध
Sir,
अंग.
I will look into this, sir.
Ang,
The
okay.
correct pronunciation. And sir, then it is also mentioned in the epic Mahabharata as Modagiri, sir.
Again महाभारत.
महाभारत.
Mahabharat as Modagiri, sir. Sir, later it could be traced to Chandragupta Maurya, who was credited with
चंद्रगुप्त मौर्य.
Why are you having an extended I in the end? Like the foreigners might have a problem, but for an Indian to say Mahabharata, Ramayana, Rama, Krishna, Ashoka, Magadha, Mahabharata doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, sir. I'll correct on this, sir.
Ashoka is also Ashok.
Ashok, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, Chandragupta Maurya, the legacy of town could be traced to it. And sir, in the medieval India, when Mir Qasim changed his capital to Munger, sir.
Medieval India.
Sir, it was in the modern Indian history, sir. Modern period.
Of course, modern.
Yes, sir. It is modern.
How
period.
possibly
Sorry,
can
sir.
it?
Sorry, sir.
1764 was the year.
Yes, sir.
And how possibly it can be medieval? Okay. Okay. As you know that the Prohibition and Excise Act that relates to the liquor addiction and the people. And this act is very much in use. But I'm not asking about this act. I'm asking something else. Many people who are alcoholic or drug addicts, they simply cannot help taking it. So what actually happens? They come in conflict with the law, arrested, taken to the court of law, they go to jail or they're bailed. My question is that you being a medical professional, why don't you think that there should be de-addiction centers, rehabilitation centers, so that at least people do not become repeat offenders because they have developed alcoholism?
Yes, sir. Sir, de-addiction or rehabilitation center, to be precise, should be complementing the law that was enacted in Bihar. So, in fact,
so I'm just curious,
yes,
does that complement the law in Bihar? Are these facilities either there or being established?
Sir, unfortunately, it is not present as of now. We don't have that many de-addiction centers so as to complement the law. But sir, de-addiction centers and counseling centers should form a bulwark of fight against alcoholism if it is intended.
Why? How come this such a wonderful idea has not come up or nobody talked about? You might have organized some seminar in your medical school or somewhere. You might have read about it, that how possibly it could be effective. Never heard of it.
Sir, I would be glad to inform that when I was in my college, sir, we even enacted a skit on the problem of drug and alcohol menace in Bihar, sir. And sir, as
what actually happens that such kind of skits simply either poo-poo the idea or just ridicule the people, or sometimes they dramatically accentuates the problem. But the solutions we are talking about.
Sir, we gave it as a part of student delegation to the government of Bihar, sir, from on the behalf of AIMS Patna to open the addiction centers as of then, sir. And sir, we were assured also. But sir, due to certain implementation challenges, these de-addiction centers have not been fostered on the ground as of now, sir.
Is there any de-addiction center in your the AIMS or any other medical facility?
Sir, in AIMS Patna, we have a de-addiction center.
How effective it is? How many relapse cases that you get to see?
Sir, I have not been posted in the rehabilitation center.
Out of curiosity?
Sir, I think we have got a large number of patients who visit, as sir I have heard from my friends who were posted there. And sir, they have been successful in pulling many of them out of this alcohol withdrawal syndrome as well, sir. So sir, the response of the patient has been quite well. So actually, if the doctor is supportive enough and understands the psychology of the patient, then sir, even patient has this tendency of getting over this menace.
What is the difference between abuse and addiction?
Sir, abuse would mean that it is not... sir, a person may be abusing alcohol if he is overtly using it. Sir, without knowing about the repercussions of it, sir.
Yes.
So while addiction could be at times, sir, he may not be going to that great extent in using it, but sir, he may use it occasionally, even sir, that would be termed as addiction.
Addiction is when you don't take it, you have withdrawal symptoms.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Thank you, but you have done very well.
This, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Can I go back to that skit that you mentioned?
Yes, sir.
About social media and the addiction that children have and the implications of that. So how do you decide the theme of a skit? Is it that you knew a child or knew children who was so addicted that they perform badly, etc.? Is that how it came, or there was an idea in your head and you simply made a skit on it? So I'm asking essentially, how is it socially relevant? And was that based on actual case that you were aware of?
Yes, sir. Sir, the idea for writing a skit on de-addiction came when I was posted in my psychiatry department during my internship, sir. Sir, at that point of time, we used to see patients who were coming with drug abuse and
I'm talking
alcoholism.
about, you were talking about social media.
Yes, sir.
So did you find, did you come across cases where it was so acute that you felt you needed to do a skit? How did that decision to do a
yes,
skit
sir.
on that theme come?
Sir, that is from my own family and personal experience. Sir, I have a 13-year-old cousin, and so we are right now in the process of counseling her to get rid of social media, and sir, I am in regular touch with her. So it is because of her, sir,
Okay,
and
good,
sir, she is finding difficulty in getting
Good.
rid of.
So you are in regular touch with her on social media?
No, sir. I am not on any
How
social.
are you in touch?
Sir, I am in touch with the phone. I am not on any
On the
social
phone.
media, sir.
Hmm.
Yes, sir.
So now as a doctor, as a medical doctor, and the fact that you were engaged and involved during the pandemic, are there social issues that you feel the medical fraternity needs to be engaged in? I'm not saying professional issues, I'm saying social issues, where their expertise as a doctor comes into play. And have you done skits on this or thought about it, and if not, why not?
Yes, sir. Sir, doctors can have a role even in the social issues. So, for example, sir, in cases of telemedicine, sir, right now on the occasion of Bihar Divas that was celebrated on 22nd of March, sir, I wrote a skit on how to prevent COVID. So that was displayed in the Gandhi Maidan. I was not able to be there in person, but sir, that is where I wrote. And sir, since this skit actually comes from a doctor, so sir, I have seen that people had a credible response towards it, sir. So sir, that is my first point. And sir, to be specific about other things, sir, in drug addiction, de-addiction, and sir, especially in training people about road accidents. For example, sir, AIMS Patna runs a program known as Chhattisa, in which the doctors go to the ground and train people how to be a good rescuer on the road, sir. For example, if somebody had an accident, what are the first aid that even a person passing by could give, sir? And sir, when that message comes from a doctor, that becomes very credible, sir. Sir, apart from that, we have mental health issues, sir, which have a root in our many societal problems. Sir, a doctor could also have a lot of role in eliminating or reducing the impact of mental health issues, sir. And sir, as you asked about my idea to write a skit, sir, if I am given a chance in the near future, sir, I would like to bring up the issue of mental health through one of my skits.
Mental health is a big word.
Sir.
They say Van Gogh had mental health issues. You know, the painter, that he had mental health issues, he cut off his ear, all kinds of things, right? But many of us, in the day-to-day life we lead, we also suffer from extreme stress. You know, there are all kinds of, also emotional well-being is not very high. So I think mental health, people tend to feel, impacts social behavior. But social behavior and social circumstances also impact mental health. So, you know, there is a cross this thing. But going back to my last question, actually, you know, to going back to what you talked about, that you get information or you build your stock of knowledge and your flow of knowledge on the basis of newspaper articles on IR.
Yes, sir.
Can you give me your definition of what is diplomacy?
Sir, diplomacy is the art of negotiating with other countries so as to foster the national interest and to enhance the soft power of nation in the world.
Okay. Do you think India, in the current crisis between Russia and Ukraine, is managing its diplomacy, in your view, in a credible manner?
Sir, I think India is managing this conflict in a very credible manner. Sir, it is one of the instances of maintaining our strategic autonomy as well. And sir, there are various instances to prove it. For example, sir, in the United Nations Security Council, India enacted a statement by the Honorable T.S. Trimurti, sir, in which he said that India respects the integrity and the territorial integrity, to be specific, of all nations. So that was in response to support of Ukraine. So then we even dispatched medical aid to the Ukrainian people. So when it came to balancing Russia, we can see that, sir, recently the government of India has bought cheap oils from Russia and even hosted the Russian foreign minister. And so both Russia and Ukrainian Prime Minister have had a dialogue with our Honorable Prime Minister so as to mediate in this process. So sir, we can see that India has hedged its chances and opportunities quite well in this conflict, sir.
Okay. Good. No further question.
I'm very happy with your interview. I think you are very articulate, you are very well poised, you know your stuff.
Thank you.
You have not yielded ground when I wanted to put pressure on you about the AIMS at Patna. And you are honest and transparent about the faculty being 50% sons and daughters of soil.
Yes, sir.
Catchment area, I think the AIMS Patna seriously seems to have done much better than the AIMS of Uttarakhand, where people still like to gravitate to Himalayan Institute for treatment, which is Rishikesh itself, Jolly Grant near the airport. So I think it's very, very reassuring. I think you also have topped your batch, and you are the
Yes,
very
sir.
second batch.
Yes.
So I think the institution should be proud of you.
Thank you.
You
sir.
also did Munger quite well. I don't think I would worry very much about you. When is your interview?
Sir, 22nd of April.
I think you just take a few tips on how you can improve your performance.
Sir.
I think I'm very happy with you.
Thank you, sir.
I'll pass it on to you.
Yeah, you are brilliant. Would you be wearing a sari? Or?
Sir, I will be wearing a sari.
Sari.
So I'm sorry for the attire.
No,
of
no,
today.
no, that's
I
fine.
just came.
But you'll be wearing a sari and a cotton sari.
Sir, I am thinking to wear a silk sari, sir.
Silk sari.
Sir, how about Madhubani painting on the sari?
That would be too loud. That would be too loud.
Sorry.
Pardon my saying so. I'm nobody to suggest you on a woman's
Sir, I
attire.
wanted to.
But I think a silk saree is avoidable in summer
Okay,
for a
sir.
very simple reason that cool, crisp cottons and
Yes,
dull,
yes, of
soft
course.
pastel shades
Yeah.
are best without a very prominent design on pallav, which is distracting.
Okay,
And if
sir.
you are not used to, as a doctor, you must be dressing up in a salwar kameez or if you're cotton sarees or under a white jacket.
Yes, sir.
So you are not used to carrying a silk saree. Silk sarees are temple sarees, bridal sarees, marriage sarees, festive sarees.
Okay, sir.
This is not a festive occasion. This is not a marriage either. This is not a temple occasion.
And it's not a proper weather also for it.
It's not a proper weather.
Yes, sir. That is true.
And Madhubani is out because Madhubani
It is
is a
very
very prominent
prominent
design on a pallav,
Yes.
and it is also bright colors. It's very distracting. So even if you want to do, you could probably go to Bhagalpur, Matka silk is wafta hota na, one strand cotton, one
सर
strand.
मटका सिल्क ही मंगवाया है.
अगर ऑफ वाइट मटका सिल्क
जी
है
सर.
जिसमें एक वो जो वाफ्ता जिसे कहते हैं, एक स्ट्रैंड कॉटन, एक स्ट्रैंड सिल्क,
हाँ सर जी
वो अगर हो तो इट इज वेरी फेवरेबल फॉर दिस वेदर.
ओके सर ठीक है सर.
That would be preferable.
Okay, sir.
Otherwise, you are staying in Delhi in the meantime?
Yes, sir. I'm
Where do you
staying
stay in Delhi?
Sir, in Ramesh Nagar. Ramesh Nagar.
Where is it?
Sir, Rajouri Garden. के
Rajouri
पास.
Garden.
हाँ.
But you are familiar with Delhi, or people at home are familiar with Delhi?
Sir, yes, sir. I have.
I
my
would
kith and
think
kin.
that it would be a very good idea to come to Khadak Singh Marg in Connaught Place.
Okay,
There
sir.
are a lot of emporium. There is a fancier khadi emporium which is called the Gramodyog, which is number 1 in
Okay, sir.
the Khadak Singh Road.
Ji,
Then as you walk along, you have a whole lot. I would not say that you go to any other emporium because then the questions about their handicraft might come. Bihar is an emporium there. So you
Okay,
could
sir.
have a look at the sarees there. and
Okay,
see
okay,
what
okay. Oh, thank you, sir. Sir. Very
Welcome.
nice.
Yeah, I
Nice
would
suggestion.
just say that while you're wearing very sensible shoes, they may not go with a sari.
Sir, I will not be wearing. Sir, my both the sandals got stolen in the morning today.
आप कहीं मंदिर गई थी?
नहीं सर, वो सुबह मैं उठी तो था नहीं, तो मुझे सर जूते ही पहनने
तो आप
पड़े.
रह
So
कहाँ
this is not a
रही? आप रह कहाँ रही?
सर मैं रमेश नगर में रह रही हूँ. मैं सर आजकल थोड़ा जॉगिंग करने के लिए जाती हूँ
नहीं,
सुबह.
मगर
तो कहाँ से चोरी हो
चोरी कहाँ से हुई? नॉर्मली मंदिर से चोरी होते हैं जूतियाँ.
नहीं सर, वो जो घर है ना जहाँ पीजी में मैं रह रही हूँ
अच्छा.
सर, उसके बाहर से वो चोरी हो गया. तो मेरे पास था नहीं, तो दैट इज वाई सर. आई एम सॉरी फॉर दैट सर.
Before I come to the bits of advice we gave, since you were involved in the de-addiction center, what are the kind of drugs Bihari youth are using?
Sir, I will not be able to tell the exact figures.
You.
What
Not
kind
figures,
of
but
drugs?
what kind of drugs are they using?
What are they taking? What are they
taking?
consuming?
Hard
Sir-
drugs, heroin, brown sugar.
Are they lowers? Are they lifters? Are they
Sir,
amphetamines?
sir, it
Are
is basically dhatura and bhang, sir.
Dhatura and bhang.
Hallucinogens, sir, that they are
Yeah.
using, sir.
Okay.
So it is sold in, sir, almost every nook and corner of Bihar.
Legally or illegally?
Sir, illegally, but it is very much available.
When you say
sir.
bhang is taken, which
Unfortunately.
is basically cannabis indica.
हाँ, sir,
In
cannabis,
what
sir.
form? In terms of weed, in terms of charas, in terms of gaja, in terms of what? How do they consume it?
Sir, it is basically in the form of charas.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, just two things you will like to do in the next 15 days. Take out your DAF, read it carefully. You would have noticed everything we asked you was from your DAF.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and which is the likely scenario on the day of the interview. And as an exercise, as a game, just try and identify as many questions as you can. Maybe 100 questions, 110 questions.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the more you do, the better equipped
sir.
you will be. There will be no surprise. Which newspaper do you read?
Sir, Indian Express and sir, the Hindu also.
And the Hindu also. They are the finest paper. Do you take notes from the newspapers?
Yes, sir.
Every day?
Sir, 5. Sir, you have suggested in earlier mocks, sir.
Were you appeared before us?
Yes, sir. I have seen many mocks.
But
Yes, sir.
Well-
And
Yeah.
EDM and many things.
You're on
Yeah.
the right track.
yeah, so five is good enough
Ji, sir,
because about 100 pages of latest news is what you will see. So
Yes,
that
sir.
will be good. So you have you are appearing in the interview for the first time.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think you will do very well because you are very bright.
How
And
come
when
I
you-
don't remember you? I mean,
Munji.
Ji, sir.
when did you meet the
Was it
panel?
last year? This year? When did
No,
you come?
sir.
across-
I have seen it on the YouTube, sir.
Oh,
अच्छा अच्छा
YouTube.
अच्छा अच्छा
Sir,
YouTube.
sir gives advice of writing down
अच्छा,
5
अच्छा।
articles.
तो
from
हमारा
newspaper.
इंटरव्यू यूट्यूब पे हर एक कैंडिडेट के साथ है या कोई एक-
सक्सेसफुल कैंडिडेट के साथ है सर।
सर 20 लोगों के साथ तो होगा पिछले बार वाला।
तीन लोग
नहीं, पिछली बार जो 20, 20, because 20 of the people whom you counseled have made it to the civil service.
तो उन सब के
हाँ,
उसमें-
उन सब
हाँ,
के
जी,
बारे में।
जी।
उन सब के हैं
Yes, sir.
ओके
Good.
वेरी गुड
Thank you, sir.
Best of luck.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
All the best, huh?
Yes, sir. So while I am going also, I may not
No,
wish.
turn back.
Just watch
Turn
your
back.
step when you take the steps.
Turn back.
और
Walk
सर,
naturally.
सबको विश करके जाना है या फिर
नहीं,
No, just thank you is also.
Thank you.
Thank you and a slight bow. That's it.
ठीक है सर. Okay. Thank you, sir.